Hey guys, Michelle Resistance Chicks. It is Sunday, April 9th. We have had another horrific attack.
You know, my angry eyes today, dude, you guys, this is just absolutely out of control. This is totally insane. I'm on my Twitter today researching things in Syria, and then bam! Egypt. Coptic Christians blown up on Palm Sunday. ISIS says it's them. Duh. This is atrocious. I watched another video that said Christians are the most persecuted religion in the world today, and we have world leaders who aren't doing a thing about it, and that's what gets my goat. That's what makes me more angry than anything else, because nobody is doing anything to stop the persecution of Christians.
And you know why it is? It's because they're, well, besides there being a globalistic agenda, but it's because they can claim that Christians aren't a minority, so it's not that big of a deal if they're going to persecute them.
But they're a minority in these countries where they're being persecuted. And these are the refugees that we should be letting into our country. I'll say it 100 times.
44 people have died.
2 blasts.
Explosions struck 2 Coptic Christian churches in Egypt where worshippers had gathered to celebrate Palm Sunday. One of the blasts in the northern town of Tanta left at least 27 dead and dozens injured. It was a little after 9 a.m. The prayers were being held, and everyone was sitting in their places, but the pews weren't full yet. I was sitting in the front, and all of a sudden, everything went dark. I passed out, and someone pushed me off of my seat. A few seconds later, I got up and saw bodies all around me. I climbed onto the pews and got out using a side door. Then I heard screams. I heard people saying, "Get out." Hours later, a suicide bomber set off an explosion at a church in Alexandria. At least a dozen people were killed and many more injured. They said it happened on his way inside while he was being searched, just like we were all searched before we went inside. So while they were searching him, they found something. And when he was arrested, he pushed the button and blew himself up. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attacks in what was the deadliest day of violence against Christians in Egypt in decades. Christians account for 10% of Egypt's population, which is predominantly Sunni Muslim.
So, obviously, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility. So, I don't really have a lot of words for this. It's awful. It's horrible. It's beyond imagination. It was St. George's Coptic Church in Egypt. The so-called Islamic State said it was behind the explosions, the latest in a series of attacks targeting Christian minority in the country. President Abdel Fattah ordered military deployments across Egypt. In a statement, he said the army would be sent to protect vital and important infrastructure. There were several actually police officers, including one policewoman, who are among those killed, and I want to actually give homage to her. Her picture's on Twitter. She is wearing hijab. She's a Muslim, and she was killed protecting people. And there's a caption that says, "Do not judge people by what they wear, but the content of what's inside." And
we support that wholeheartedly.
Exactly. I saw pieces of body parts and broken seats. There was so much blood everywhere. Some people had half their bodies missing. The first 3 rows of the church were destroyed. Here's some pictures. The blasts appear to have been timed for maximum impact as people gathered
because it's Palm Sunday.
It's one of the holiest days in the Christian calendar, marking the triumphal entry of Jesus Christ in Jerusalem. Egyptian security forces have been put on alert. The attacks come weeks before an expected visit by Pope Francis, intended to show support for the country's Christian minority. The Coptic Christians are one of the most ancient Christian communities and the largest still left in the Middle East. We actually have a friend of ours who is married to a Coptic Christian. But they have long felt vulnerable and marginalized. This sense of precociousness has only increased in recent years with the rise of violent jihadism in parts of Egypt. The country's political Muslim religious leaders have tried to provide reassurance that they stand united with the Copts and have portrayed the recent upsurge in attacks as an attempt by extremists to sow division. But in recent months, Coptic families have been fleeing northern Sinai after a series of murders and assaults. And I'm just wondering, you know, where the world outrage is over this. Over this particular explosion, there has been, but it's not the same outrage that you see over Syria.
Oh, no way. Absolutely not.
You don't feel it. CNN doesn't feel it. They don't feel it. They don't feel it.
And we're going to bring that to you a little bit later, and I don't want to shift the focus from this atrocity that has happened, but I will tell you why they don't feel it. Because there's no agenda. There's no pipeline. There is no regime change that they're trying to accomplish, because Egypt has already been taken over by Muslims, almost. I mean, we're really close. 10% is a lot bigger than other Middle Eastern countries.
Well, Egypt went through a really crazy
reformation, or I don't even know what you want to call it.
Yeah, and it's like it went from one to another, and we heard first from some Egyptian women who said that actually under the new regime, things are worse for women there. It's one of this. It's really hard to put in words how you feel about a region that is not of the mindset of full democracy and Republican Judeo-Christian values. So there was an Arab Spring in 2013, and this Breitbart article explains that Egypt has struggled to combat a wave of Islamic militancy since the 2013 military overthrow of an elected Islamist president. The Sinai-based ISIS affiliate has mainly attacked police and soldiers, but has also claimed bombings that civilians, including the downing of a Russian passenger jetliner in the Sinai in 2015, which killed 224 people aboard and devastated Egypt's tourism industry. Egypt's Copts are one of the oldest Christian communities in the Middle East. They have long complained of discrimination and that the government does not do enough to protect them. Egyptian media had previously reported that the church in Tanta had been targeted before, with a bomb defused there in late March, and I guess that's why people had to be searched. You know, the Copts were largely supportive of the military overthrow of the Islamist president Mohammed Morsi, and incurred the wrath of many of his followers who attacked churches and other Christian institutions. While the Copts have stood steadfast alongside the government, repeating the mantra that Egyptians were all being targeted by terrorists, an increase in attack on Christians has tested that support. And so outside the Tanta hospital, 27-year-old carpenter Mag Salah flew into a rage as blood streamed from his arm after he and his mother escaped the explosion. Where is the government? There is
screamed at onlookers.
Government.
Wow.
So yeah, this is powerful. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. But as Mama Patriot pointed out, these people are most likely in heaven right now on Palm Sunday.
Absolutely.
And so we can take solace in the fact that, you know, we believe in Christ, and
these are martyrs, and that's the thing that you need to understand here. Anybody that dies in the name of Christ receives the martyr's crown and the martyr's reward. And you know, when it comes to the news, I may not know everything, but when it comes to the Bible, again, I may not know everything, but that's more my wheelhouse. And I can tell you right now that these people will be honored by their fellow brothers and sisters in Christ because of what they have suffered, because they have just been murdered and persecuted for their faith in Jesus Christ. Right. And we should not take that lightly. And I have to be honest, it is more serious than another type of attack. When somebody is persecuted for their faith, regardless of what kind of faith that is, when you attack somebody based on their faith, that's an evil. You know what I mean? When you're going to take a physical action and kill someone based on their faith,
That's crazy. That's insanity. There are acts of war, right?
Exactly. That's different.
And so we're obviously, this ties into Syria. Why does it tie into Syria? Because ISIS is in Syria. These are the same people that are fighting Assad in Syria, and these people blew up Christians.
Right.
So I just want you to recognize and put that in perspective that.
And it's obviously not the same people, but it's the same ideology and it's the same religion.
Well, it's the same group. ISIS is ISIS.
I know.
Islamic
Well,
State is Islamic State.
Exactly. I'm just saying it's obviously not the exact same, you know, little group, but you're right. The Islamic State is the Islamic State, and this is their goal. They are very happy. They feel like they have done something because it's Palm Sunday and they got the Christians, that they really are, you know what I mean? This guy who has done this, because there was two of them, I'm sure his family is going to receive quite the reward.
Yeah. So I really want to tie this into Syria. This is kind of what I'm focusing on right now, and the fact that Syria is the only secular government in the Middle East. And this was the scene. You haven't seen this yet. This was the scene today on Palm Sunday in Syria for Christians. This is Assad. These are Christians on Palm Sunday in Syria.
Wow.
You can't do this in Iran.
No way.
You can't do this in other Middle Eastern countries.
I want to tell you guys something. These people, if Assad is taken out, and I'm not saying that I support Assad, but if he is taken out and ISIS takes over, every single one of those people will die. They will all die. They will kill them.
Right.
You cannot be a Christian and live in an ISIS-run state and government.
Al-Qaeda.
Okay, you just can't. So if you want to support taking out Assad, support the death of those people.
And I know a lot of people, I've heard some people say, well, we'll just put a guy in.
You can't just put a guy in. I'm telling you guys, you need to understand this. Democracy is not going to be possible when Assad is taken out. We have tried this in so many places where we have gone in thinking we're going to just thrust democracy. All we have to do is take the bad people out of the Middle East, and then democracy will spring up like a bed of roses, because that's how democracy works. So in a statement today, I don't know if Leah's going to bring this up later or not, but they have said that the White House has come out and said, if we take out Assad, then we're going to make sure that those people can re-elect somebody else. You know, just because he's turned into a dictator doesn't mean, I mean, he was elected and we already have democracy there. You know, you guys, I'm telling you, that's not going to happen. Like I just said, we've tried that in other places. It doesn't work, especially with how strong ISIS is right there. They will be very swift to move into the gap, fill gap, if he gets taken out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We're going to cover a lot of that, and there is actually no real great solution here.
So Leah's point is that this is the scene in Syria, and in Egypt they were allowed to, the 10% Coptic Christians were allowed to celebrate Palm Sunday there, and yet they weren't, were they?
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to celebrate it. You know, their government may have said yes, but ISIS said no.
No.
So I would encourage everybody to get behind and support their fellow brothers and sisters in Christ. And if you are not a Christian, you still need to get behind them and support them, because they were just trying to worship their God. And this atrocity.
Just go to church. You know, Lord, please be with our brothers and sisters in Egypt right now and welcome them into your throne room today.
I'm sure, yes, absolutely.
Our hearts go out to everyone in Egypt. We're so sorry this is happening to you, and we back and support you 100%. And we're going to do everything on our end to help bring an end to radical Islamic terrorism, so you can not have to have bomb checks on your way to church.
Yeah. All right, you guys, this is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications, and find us on Facebook and Twitter. We love you guys. God bless.
I'm so sorry, guys. This is just absolutely atrocious.
was cold.